Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Generation 1 version of Thundercracker. As you can see, this is the commemorative release. The main obvious parts for this are the extremely oversized weaponry. Now these are technically the null rays, however I've included them as the generic weapons because the missiles look frankly ridiculous. For comparison, this is the null ray from Thrust, so an original null ray from Thrust, and if we just take this off here, this is its comparison. So this is the commemorative re-release, and that's the original. It is mind-bogglingly different. They have at least upscaled the whole lot of the weapon, so it's acceptable. So it looks more like a missile than a null ray, but I'm willing to take that. This is an original missile from Thrust. Now, I haven't bothered to take out the missiles from the revised ones because they're just ridiculous. What they've done is they've extended just this part, so you end up with a huge section about this big and this tiny little bit on the end. So it looks ridiculous. It really does. Have a look on some of the Transformers wiki updates for it, and it doesn't bear thinking about. It really is rubbish. So, as a result, we now have, on all of the G1 releases they've done, we now just have these null rays on it. In terms of Decepticon mode, I believe it's an F-15, or a combination variant of an F-15. It looks really good. The colour scheme, I have to say, is fantastic. The blue really looks good. It's really offset with the stickers that go on him. I'm really impressed by it. It is an absolutely wonderful colour scheme. There we are. Get a bit of light on it. See, that is just wonderful colours on it. It really makes Starscream and Co look a little bit more boring. But Thundercracker looks particularly good. Let me be able to zoom in a little bit on that. See, that works really, really well for him. He does come with quite a bit of kibble. Now, if he were to swap the lasers round, you'd have spare lasers. You also have his hands in robot mode, and there's nowhere to put them in play mode, so you just have to make sure you don't lose these, because these are the kind of things that get lost. The most common thing to get lost, of course, is the landing gear. Here we go. One landing gear. These are very common to get lost. If you find an original one of these with landing gear, hold on to it. Luckily there is a home for these. You can find one using his cockpit in robot mode. So, in terms of transformation, as you can see, this has just popped off, not a problem at all. You just pop it back on. It's quite an innovative transformation. Simple, but it works pretty well. So it's all done underneath the robot. It's a lot easier if you take off his weapons. You're going to need to later on anyway. Let's do it now. That rolls over for the feet, like that. These then rotate, and that rotates, and essentially you've now got the lower part of the Decepticon. Now his nose cone here, just actually if I do it like this, it's probably a lot easier because it transforms basically like this. So that rotates down, that needs to rotate like that. You've got here this part which just pops out. The wings will rotate up anyway, so we'll rotate them halfway now, just gets them out of the way so that the arms can come round. Now you have to bend the nose through the chest canopy like that. That cockpit then becomes his chest. The head goes up there. For Thundercracker, Starscream and Skywarp, you then put the cone down. The other guys are the cone heads, Thrust, Ramjet and Dirge, so they need to have theirs up. Wings, that's how they were in play mode. They rotate up like this way, so the Decepticon logo is now face up like that. And that's basically it. Now this is where your kibble and bits come. So first of all, your wheel. The cockpit does go up. Their original versions of these do have a seat in there. So if you've got one with a seat, that is an original version. Hang on to it. It'll be worth a fair few bob. It probably is now anyway, but it'll be worth even more in years to come. Luckily that sits in there, the little landing gear. You don't have to put it in there. It's not part of the transformation, but it stops you from losing it. Now for its hands, as you can see, they are moulded. They do absolutely nothing. It can't hold a weapon. Again, I've seen these lost many times, so don't worry. In the event you have one that is lost, it just looks like they haven't got a hand. It's a bit awkward, but it's not the end of the day. And then you mount the weapons, as you see here. There's a slot here, slot on the end here, just goes straight in. And the other side. And there we have it. A transformed robot version of Thundercracker. Now there are little launchers on here. Surprisingly powerful, considering this is a commemorative edition release. Most of them, the launchers, well, they don't work, they just hold them in place, but those are surprisingly powerful. Annoyingly, when you're putting the guns on, of course, you tend to hold on to that, so you do have to be a little careful you don't send the missile flying across the room. In terms of movement, his arms rotate up. You do get, the wings do get away a bit, but they do rotate up, they do rotate out. But there is no elbow, there's not really an arm to speak of. Legs do nothing, head do nothing. Pretty limited movement. I think we've seen that on most of the guys. The Decepticon Seekers probably come off a bit worse because they don't have an elbow at all. As I've shown before, you compare him with someone like Optimus Prime, who has an elbow joint. That is so much more movement. But never mind, the fact that these guys, their guns are on the side and not in their hands, the hands do nothing, it's not quite as limiting. In terms of comparison with the other Seekers, obviously these are the Wave 2 releases, so this is Thrust, this is actually the original G1 version of Thrust, as you can tell by the correctly sized weaponry, and this is the commemorative re-release of Dirge. Now, Dirge's wings are always fun. You can put them other ways round. I've just put them like this. It does mean the Decepticon logo is the other way up. Not a problem. So, there's his fellow Seekers. So in terms of robot mode, as I say, Thundercracker is probably least convincing as a robot. As a jet, it's brilliant. The colour scheme is great, and it looks good. As a robot, yeah, it's alright. The oversized weapons in robot mode aren't too bad. They're tolerable. They do look big, but again, so is someone like Prime's, and actually they're of a comparable sort of size, so it's not too bad. I can live with it. The missiles in play mode on the commemorative release just look stupid. If you get a commemorative one, don't even bother taking them off the little plastic case they come with. I didn't, because they look awful. I did do that with Starscream. Put it in and I thought, what the heck, and probably put them back and never use them again. So don't even bother about it if you get a commemorative release. Just leave them in there and use the null rays. They look so much better than the others. So there we are, that is Thundercracker Generation 1 commemorative release. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave any comments below, and as ever click on the other links and we'll see you on the next release. Thank you, goodbye.